this lunchtime live. I think last week I called it the lunchtime edit. This week I'm calling it the lunchtime verdict, which makes more sense. Makes a lot more sense. So, like, how are you all? Hope you are all well. If I sound out of breath, it's because I'm busy. I'm very busy at the moment. I'm flying off to Grenada on Sunday, which means I'm trying to do a million and one things at once before I go. Um, I have been writing because I have a deadline. Well, my deadline's not till next year. However, if I want to get this book done, I need to be consistent with how many words I'm writing a day in order for me to be where I need to be by December. So I've been writing every day, obviously doing my podcast, recording the podcast, editing the podcast. And then I had my last event on Sunday. I was appearing at the Black British Book Festival and I was chairing the Killer Lines panel, which was really good. It was so good. It was so good. Just talking crime fiction with how many? Three other crime writers. And that was Paula Sutton, who writes Cozy Crime, and Fode Manor, who writes literary crime, that's what you call it, literary thriller, and Remy Cohn, who's also a TV producer who worked on Lewis, Killing Eve. I think she worked on Spooks. But yeah, and her book's called Innocent Guilt. So I spoke to those three authors for my Killer Lines panel on Sunday. So there was that. What else have I been doing? And then yesterday I went to see Kamala Harris at the South Bank because she's on a book tour and she did her London stop yesterday. So I went to see her. She was being interviewed by, oh God, I never get her name right. Amanda Ngozi, and I've forgotten her last name, which is just terrible of me. But she was being chaired by her, and that was brilliant. So that's what I've been doing. And today I've been running around like a blue-ass fly, trying to get stuff done. So, and nice for you to join me today. I'm glad that you're here. So what I normally do in a lunchtime verdict is I am here to answer questions. I always say about writing, publishing, about my series, and yeah, sorry, someone's popping up on my phone. But what I did prior over my Instagram, hello David, over my Instagram, I put out a question box. I said if anyone had any questions for me, they could send them my way. And they did have questions for me, which was cool. But before I even get to the questions, basically bring them up on my iPad. Can I show you something? If you've been on my social media, so if you've been on Instagram, mainly if you've been on Instagram, you ought to see my unboxing. So this is my proof copy of my fourth book in my series, The Shadow Carver. And what can I say? It takes a lot of bloody work to write a book. When I think about what I went through, because you can have all the plans in the world. You know, I always have a plan. Like I say it a million times, I had a plan, and I had a deadline. And I'm one of these people. I need a deadline. If you don't give me a deadline, you won't get a book. So I need to know what date I'm aiming for. And very, very rarely have I ever asked for my deadline to be extended. If I have, it's only been like, I need like an extra week or so, maybe two. I'll say two as a buffer, but I maybe just need like an extra couple of days just to finish. I've never really asked for like an extended period of extra time to deliver a book. But this book, as much as I love it, I think I was supposed to deliver it. I was working on it in Grenada. So that was July. And I think I was supposed to deliver it like the first week. No, I was in Grenada in June last year and I was supposed to deliver it, I think, the first week of July. That was my original delivery date. Unfortunately for me, on the 1st of July, there was a hurricane, Category 4 hurricane, and it just completely physically derailed me. And when I came back home, I was in no fit state to be writing anything. I mean, I had to have therapy when I got back to deal with the after effects of living through a Category 4, even though some people said it was a Category 5 when it left the island. So it hit Carriacou Grenada as a category 4. When it left Grenada, it was a category 5. So, I've never been in a hurricane before. Never. So, had to deal with that. So when I got back, I needed time. I was like, I'm not going to have this ready for you in a week. So I think I was given asked for like an extra month, not that long. So I finished it. And the thing is, it wasn't like I was finishing the first draft. So what I was finishing for myself was my second draft. That's what I was doing. Because I'd already written my first draft. And how I write now, I'll write for the first draft, I'll write acts 1 and 2. And then when I finished Act 2, even though I planned Act 3, but when I finished Act 2, I then go back and start doing the rewrite. Because then when I'm doing that rewrite, doing all that editing for myself, I know exactly how everything ties in and how the third act is going to finish. So that's what I was doing for myself when I delivered it. So I went through a lot. So to finally get the proof copy in my hands, I'm like, wow, it's here. 420 pages of it. I write big books. So that was that. So this is out in February. So that's the proof copy. So the proof copy, if you're in the States, is what they call the galleys, the advanced reader copies. And this is what they'll send out. My publishers will send out to authors, to bloggers, to reviewers, so they can get some quotes that will go into and on the final version of the book. So I'm very proud of that. And it's green, and green's my favourite colour. So there's that. So Damien said it's chunky. It is chunky. I do appreciate whenever my editor's like, it's a lot of words. We need to cut the words down. And I'm like, I know. And I don't fully appreciate how big it is until I get the final copy. And I'm like, yeah, this is a big book. This is a big book. But a reader said to me, well, she didn't say to me, she wrote a comment. She said she felt, I think when she picked up the Jigsaw Man or one of the books, she was like, oh my God, there's so many pages. They felt a bit daunted by it. They felt it was a big book, but they said the chapters they're like short chapters. Read through it quickly. David said, you write big books and you cannot lie. That is true. But they said, even though it's a big book, chapters are short, you can breeze through it and you don't notice. So that's a good review. So if you have, I'm only on here till 3 because I've got 1,000,001 things to do. So if you have any questions for me about writing, publishing, to do, put them in the message box. But I am going to read out some questions that I received today. So I'm going to read the questions and I'm going to answer them. And I've lost my glasses, but we will make do. So this one actually made me laugh out loud. It's about Henley, my Henley book. So Henley is the main character of my Detective Inspector Henley thriller series. And she leads a team called a Serial Crimes Unit. And this question was, if Henley and her team ever cross paths with a detective from another world, say Luther, how do you think they would get along? And it made me laugh because instantly I just knew if Henley met Luther, they would not get along. She would not like, I don't think she would like him. I would think that she would find him to be too much of a risk. She would definitely feel that he should not be in that job. As good as he is at his job, I don't think I think she'll just find him too risky. And I don't think she would like the attitude and the kamikaze air around him. I don't think she would like him. So I don't think they would get, I think they'll get on personally, but no, they won't even get on personally. I don't think she would get on with him at all. At all. So that was that question. And then this next one. Your books are known for their twists. Oh, I've answered this before, but just said your books are known for their twists. Do you plan them out meticulously or do they come to you whilst writing? I don't think, even though I am a planner, I'm very, very much a planner. If you've seen earlier videos, I've shown you my plans. I'm very much a planner. I don't think I actually sit down and plan out my twists in my books. Like, because sometimes they happen as you're writing, because maybe a character's they behave differently to how I plan them. They've done something different, and then that's created a twist or a subplot. Definitely happened with The Binding in my second book, or a subplot has just materialized out of nowhere. I didn't plan for it, and that's created a twist. And even, yeah, I don't think I planned them, because even when I think about doing edits, when I think about doing my editing and I have my editor's notes, I remember with the Jigsaw Man, and one of the notes from my editor was that we need more red herrings, and I was like, okay, so I had to create a whole new, character, and then interweave this character throughout the novel to create. But then even then, I wasn't thinking about a twist. I was just thinking, well, I need to distract the reader and make them think that it's possibly this person involved. But I wasn't thinking it needs to be twisty, because I don't know how you can plan for a twist. Does that make sense? Um, yeah, I don't. So the answer to that question is I do not. I don't think I planned the twist. I planned the story. I planned the outline. I know the trajectory of the story. I know my character arc, but I don't necessarily plan the twist, because sometimes characters' storyline disappear out of nowhere, even when you've planned. Another one I had was, what's one book you wish you could read again for the very first time, and why? I had to think about that question a lot. Um, and I can't think, it's hard. I can't think what, actually, I always go back to James Ellroy, American Tabloid, and I only go back to James Ellroy, American Tabloid, because I think that was the book that made me really, really, really want to write crime. Because I always enjoyed reading crime. I love reading crime, but I didn't think I necessarily thought about writing crime. But when I read American Tabloid, because it was so different, and it took work, because you have to get used to the rhythm of James Ellroy's writing. And once you get into the rhythm of it, and it included all these things that I love, like I was a kind of obsessed with American politics, especially that 1960s, 1970s era. And it, included all of these things within this amazing crime story. And the way he wrote, he wasn't following anyone else. It was just him. So I think American Tabloid is the book I would like to read again, because it just showed me another way of telling a story. So that was the book. I'm having to scroll through my questions that were sent to me. Oh, here's one. Without any spoilers, do you already know how the Inspector Henley series will end? Or are you discovering her story as you go? I have no idea. I have no idea when the Henley series will end. I know that I've written 4 books so far. I've planned books 5 and 6. I have an idea already about what book 7 will be, which is crazy to think about. And I know I want to do a prequel. That doesn't matter, but I know I want to do a prequel to The Jigsaw Man at some point. So I know where Henley's going to be in 3 books' time, but I don't know what's going to happen to her and the team beyond that. Although I do know what's going to happen to one particular character. I do know definitely what's going to happen to one particular character. But no, I don't know how it ends. I don't want it to end. I want it to be like Michael Connolly in his Bosch books and Lincoln Lawyers. Just want it to keep going. Just keep going for as long as possible. Remember, if you're joining me this afternoon, thank you very much. I've only got 13 minutes left, but if you're joining me, thank you. And if you have any questions that you want to ask me, either about my book series, about writing, publishing, what I'm going to do in Grenada for 4 weeks, then you can leave a message and I will reply to you, because that's how it works. So I'm looking for the questions, I said, because I was sent questions in advance for this live. Oh, right. You've been both self-published and traditionally published. What's one misconception writers often have about either side of the publishing world? I would say, this is my thoughts. You'll have to agree with me. I think that sometimes there's a misconception that if you're self-publishing, that it's the easy way out. And it's not. Because I've self-published, it is not the easy way out. It takes so much work. And I always say the writing bit is the easy bit. Writing your book is the most easiest, straightforward bit of the self-publishing process. After that, you're taking on all the jobs that a traditional publisher would do for you. So you have to find, you need an editor. Don't think you can edit your own book. You can't. You need an editor. You need a second set of eyes on your book because you can't see all the things, like all the mistakes. You can't see it because you spent so much time in it with it. You become blind to all of those things. So you don't need an editor if you're self-publishing, like you do. So it's not the easy way out. You need an editor. You need a proofreader. Unless you design book covers as a job, find a book cover. Book cover artist. You can find all these people. You need to know what you're doing in terms of marketing your book. You need to understand the market. So this is why I say it's not the easy way out, because all of those jobs which a traditional publisher would take on, you have to do all of those things. And if you can't do all of those things, you need to know how to delegate and how to find these people, even when it comes to publicity. So I think the misconception is that self-publishing is easy and it's the easy way out. And I don't think it is. It takes a lot of hard work. And I always say, when I look back at when I self-published, I wrote my book, got the editor, did all that stuff. But when it came to marketing, I didn't have the time. I was working full time. I did not have the time to put 100% into marketing my book. And if I was to do it differently, yeah, that's one thing I would definitely pay more attention to and have a very clear marketing plan for myself. It's not just enough just to email your mates. Say, can you put a review up on Amazon or just get in touch with a few bloggers? I think you need to have a very clear marketing plan. And in regards to traditional publishing, I think a misconception is also that, I think a misconception is maybe that it's easy as well, that you don't have to do anything, that all you have to do is write the book. And I don't think that's necessarily true, and that your publisher is going to do everything for you. God, I sound like I'm contradicting myself, but your publishers aren't going to do everything for you. Unless they've paid like, I don't know, significant six figures for your book and they're going to put like 100 grand into your marketing plan. I think you need to take responsibility for putting yourself out there as well. So I think if you're traditionally published, don't rely on your publishers to maybe put you in touch with your local bookshops and, I don't know, bloggers and things like that. I feel like you have to go out and introduce yourself to the book world. So that's where I think the misconceptions are. So Zoe asks, hi, are there any other genres you ever want to write outside crime? Yes, I do. I'm desperate. I'm desperate for DC or Marvel Comics to contact me and ask me to either write a comic book series for them or to write like what Lisa Jewell did and what S.A. Cosby's doing and Alex Segura are doing with Marvel, doing a Marvel novel. So S.A. Cosby is doing Luke Cage. Just Lisa Jewell did Jessica Jones, and Alex Segura, I think, is doing Daredevil. So I would love to write a comic book, either a novel or do the actual comic book. And ideally, I would like DC to call me. It would be amazing, Zoe. It would be amazing. So, DC, if you're listening, my email details are online. It's easy to find me. And also, just to think, before I wrote crime, I wrote what I just called like general contemporary fiction. I mean, that was my self-published book. It's like family dramas. And then I wrote short stories, speculative fiction, short stories. So I've done that. I've got an idea in my head floating around. I haven't told my agent yet. So if he sees these, he's going to be like, Nadine. Okay, that probably sounds good. So fantasy stroke crime. I have a fantasy crime idea floating around in my head that I need to jot down. And also romance, because I wrote a rom-com. Before my crime fiction career took off, I'd written a rom-com and I was going to self-publish it, and I was in the process of rewriting it when what happened? I started my creative writing masters, and then I ended up writing The Jigsaw Man, and then, well, the rest is history. So I never finished doing the rewrite and putting it out there. But I did dig it up again, and I thought, I might resurrect it and see what I can do with it. So those are the other genres. 'Cause I like to think as well, it's like I read, and I think like most writers, I don't think you just read one particular genre. Like your interests are so wide and varied. And I think that's then reflected in your output, really. So if there are any more questions, feel free to ask and I will answer them. But in the meantime, let me see if I had any more questions. And I did, but I've lost it. Where's it gone? Sorry, I will be I will be back with a question. I had it. I'm scrolling through my iPad. Oh God, right, here it is. How do you actually stay organized when you're working on multiple books at once? If you saw my desk earlier, you would not think it was organized. But what I do is, I think, because I'm kind of working on two books right now at the same time, which is a bit mad to think about. But I am working on two books right now. I'm doing the one I'm contracted for, so that's the one I have to deliver in March. And the other book I'm writing, I keep calling it my secret project, but I think everyone needs to have a secret project. Or as an author I was talking to for my podcast, which is the episode's coming out next week, Laura Purcell, she said you need like a passion project. So I'm working on my passion project, my secret project, and I'm working on my book I'm contracted to write, which is a standalone. And Scrivener helps a lot. So I use Scrivener in order to write. And Scrivener helps a lot because I can have my different projects opened up on Scrivener and I can find them easily and organize it. I have different notebooks. It sounds really simplistic, but it's simple as that. I have different notebooks for each project. I use Scrivener, which helps. I've even gone as far as to buy, because I always plan out my novels. So I print out the outline because I like to physically handle it. Because I feel like my brain works better when I'm working through the outline, if I can highlight it to death and scribble all over it. So I print it out and I put it in a plastic wallet. So at the moment on my desk, I've got 3 different plastic wallets. I've got my book 5 I'm contracted for. I've got my secret project, passion project, which I'm working on. And then I've got another one. I'll show you. Literally, it's like that. This is my rom-com that I resurrected. And when I told you that I planned, look at the plans about reading it. Look, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I created it. This is how I plan. I just thought my brain works better if I'm physically filling something out and doing my notes. So that's how I keep myself organized. And I think I've got one more question we can answer. And this is the first one. I knew there was another one. Okay, it's about Henley again. And Inspector Henley has been through a lot. When you first created her, did you already know the emotional journey you wanted to take her on? Or did she surprise you along the way? Right. So I'm always asked, like, where did Henley come from? So Henley, I said, she's the main character in my series, the Detective Inspector Angelica Henley. And when she first appeared in my head, I didn't have a story for her, which sounds weird, but she popped into my head. I think I was sitting right here at this desk doing something completely different. I might even have been preparing for court for all I know, but I think I was. I think I was preparing a case for court. And this woman popped into my head and she was standing on the high street. So where I lived, Lewisham High Street, she was standing on Lewisham High Street. And on Lewisham High Street is Lewisham Police Station, which unless something's changed, it was the biggest police station in London. And, oh, so I thought it was the door, thought it was the Ring doorbell. And I saw Henley, she popped into my head, and I saw her standing on Lewisham High Street, staring at Lewisham Police Station, and I knew she had to go in there. I knew she wasn't a witness. I knew she wasn't a victim. So I then concluded, okay, she works there. But then I knew she'd been away for a period of time. Like I knew she'd been away for maybe like 3 to 6 months. She'd been off work and she was returning back to work. But then I also knew that something had happened to her. Um, and that she'd had some kind of trauma, that she was having to return back to work after this thing had happened to her. I had no idea what this thing had happened to her was. I had no idea what trauma she'd been through. But I knew that she had been through something and she was going to return to work. So she popped into my head. I think she probably popped into my head for like, maybe it could have been a year before I put her into a story. So she was there. I didn't know what I was going to do with her, because remember what I said earlier, I wasn't writing the Jigsaw Man. I was writing this rom-com, and I had no idea what I was going to do with her until I started doing my creative writing masters. Had to start writing this book in order to complete the masters. That's how it worked. And it was you had to specialize in crime or thriller writing on this course I was doing. And I was writing the Jigsaw Man, and I'd written the first scene, because that first scene, the prologue in the Jigsaw Man, actually came about as a result of an assignment. And the assignment was you had to create a suspenseful opening. And I wrote this opening where body parts were being found along the riverbank. And I thought, okay, I like that. And then I wrote the next chapter, and the next chapter, I needed my detective, put Henley there. And that's how I found her. So she popped into my head. But I didn't know that she was going to go on such an emotional journey. But it's only until I put her in the Jigsaw Man and I knew they were pursuing a copycat killer, and the original serial killer was not happy about it, I then realised that she has a relationship with the serial killer, the original serial killer, and that he did something to her. And that's where her trauma comes from. So I didn't originally plan for her to have such this, and she goes through a lot because she has PTSD. She goes through a lot in her books. And then there are moments when, I think like in this book, in this one, without giving away spoilers, in the fourth book, I feel like emotionally actually, no, that's a lie. I feel like in the beginning she's a lot more stable. She's not so, she doesn't react. She doesn't have so many PTSD triggers. They've calmed down a lot. I think since book one, her PTSD triggers have calmed down, but she still goes through an emotional journey. So, but I didn't plan. Yeah, but she just popped into my head. And it's weird. And people go to you, where do you get your ideas from? It's hard to answer, because sometimes they literally do just pop into your head, or it could be, you've read. It's happened. I had an idea the other day, and it's because I heard something on the radio. It was a comment someone said. They made a comment, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea." And that's how it happens. Okay, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give you 10 more minutes before I disappear. But if you've got any more questions you want to ask me, I said either about my own series, writing in general, publishing, it's anything random. I'm going through my Instagram to see if there's any more questions. Uh, you spend. Oh, I need to get it right. Right, you spend so much time writing about crime. Do you ever find yourself people watching and mentally plotting crimes or suspects in your head? Can I just... The answer to that is yes, right? Because today I was out this morning doing my holiday shop, and I popped into Lidl, and this woman, I came out of the aisle, she came charging down the aisle of her trolley, and I stepped out. She nearly knocked me over, and she didn't even apologise. And I remember looking at her thinking, if you were a character in a book, if you're in one of my books, you would definitely meet a messy end. Is that a good way to think? Probably not. But then by the time I'd walked up the end of the aisle, I'd already created this whole little backstory in my head about her. Because I was watching I turned around and I was watching the back of her and even her posture and how she carried herself. And I was like, you're arrogant and you have an ego and you're not listening to the advice that's being given to you. And someone's telling you not to do something and you just think, no, I know better. See, I created a whole story arc, character arc for this woman who nearly knocked me over in Lidl. So the answer to your question is that, do you find yourself people watch? I think you do. I think all writers people watch. It's just the natural part because you're looking at how people interact with each other. You're listening to dialogue, the things people say. And even when they say something, if what they're saying is matching their facial expression. So I do find myself people watching. I hope they don't realise that I'm people watching. And I am mentally plotting in my head. I said this to a friend yesterday. Who was I interviewing someone? I can't remember, one of the two. But I said yesterday, writing is not always you sitting down in front of a computer, you sitting down in front of your laptop, writing dialogue and prose. That's not writing all the time. You're still writing and you're still creating when you're walking around your house like I was, and you're running through dialogue in your head, or you're running through scenarios in your head, or even if you're acting it out. Because sometimes if you're stuck, it's just about, I just need to get away from the desk, get away from your place and be in a different environment. So I think if you're a writer, no matter what genre you're writing in, you're always plotting. You're always thinking about your story. You're always thinking about your characters. You're always thinking about how they would react in certain situations. And for me, I'm thinking about, because I write a series, even though I'm writing a standalone now, but, I write this series and I want this series to carry on. I'm always thinking about what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next to Henley? What's going to happen next to Stanford, who's a member of the team? What's going to happen next to Ezra? And what am I going to do with these little, I don't know what to call them, not even Easter eggs, but I'll plant little things in the book. And if you pick up on it, then this could turn into a plot, into a later book. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to carry this through? This one sentence that was said by a character, how's this going to carry through into the next book? So you're always thinking. Like, I don't think you ever stop when you're a writer. You just don't. Zoe says, do you have a daily word count you try to hit? Yes, I do. With this book I'm writing now, I have a minimum word count because what I did, I created this. It's a planner, so it's a daily planner, and it will just basically just working out how many words I need to write in order to hit 90,000 words by. Let me check I think the 31st of March. Right. So the 31st of March, I'm opening it up now. The 31st of March, I need to hit 90,000 words. I need to deliver this book to my editor. So the minimum, if I only work Monday, because I'm trying to write 2 books at the same time, which is crazy, I know, but I think I can do it. So on this book, I'm only working on it Mondays to Fridays. I'm not working it on the weekend. And my minimum word count for this book is 672 words. And I'm saying it's nothing. There are days when it's hard. Yesterday, I've only written like 28 words in an hour and a half. I was like, because I just kept deleting it. So the minimum word count is 672. My maximum word count, which is always like my personal, this is like my daily, many words I must write a day, is 1,667. And the reason why it's such a specific and also random number is because it comes from doing NaNoWriMo. And in NaNoWriMo, in order to write 50,000 words in 30 days, you need to write I think like 1,666 point whatever words a day. And if you do that every day for 30 days, you'll write 50,000 words and that will give you your first draft of the book. I am an overwriter. I think I've written 27,000 words of this book. Technically, I should be halfway through my draft. I am not. I'm about I don't even think I'm a third of the way. 27? You're just over a quarter of a way through. So that's a very long way of me saying, Zoe, I do have a daily word count that I try to hit. But having the minimum word count is nice as well, because I know once I pick the minimum 267,672, that doesn't matter if I write 700, 1,000, 2,000. I'm on track to hit the 90,000 words and deliver my book in March. So I do. Um, I think I mean, I could be wrong. I think most writers I've spoken to have like a daily word count. The most, God though, the most I've written in a day is 7,000, which is nuts. And the only reason why I wrote 7,000, I was writing the kill list, and I had to deliver. I had a deadline. I had to deliver the book, and I was in Morocco randomly. I was in Morocco. My friend was running. She was running a retreat. She's like a business coach. So she's doing this retreat in Morocco, and I just went to tag along. And I knew I had to write this book. And I'm not one of these writers. I'm just not. I was like this at uni. I don't do all-nighters. I don't like it. My brain stops working at 10 o'clock. But I was getting up at 6 and I was writing till about 1 o'clock in the morning because I had to deliver that book. And the most I wrote in that day between 6 and 1 in the morning was like 7,000 words. Probably 7,000 plus words, which was mad. And I'm never doing that again. But yeah, the dreaded 1667909 number. But you know, it's a good number because you know where you stand. You know where you stand. You know, 1667. If you do that consistently for 30 days, you will have 50,000 words, and that should give you your first draft of a book. But yeah, that's it. Okay, so unless you have any more questions, I'm going to leave you. But I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me. I hope I am entertained. I hope I answered the questions. Thank you to everyone who sent me in questions via Instagram. I really appreciate it. I really do. And I'm going back to finish editing a podcast because that's what I'm doing. And then I've got an email from my US publisher, so I need to respond to that. And then I need to go and pack. So that's what I'm going to do. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Zoe. You are welcome. And even though next week I'll be in Grenada, I'm going to try and do this again in Grenada because I like these fun. I like the Lunchtime Verdict. I think they're fun. Okay. Bye, everyone.